Ding-dong ditching, a childhood prank for generations. But now it's morphing into something different for social media. Dakota Castette's Didier continues his reporting on local performance crime.
So last month, the Ada County Sheriff's Office posted on Facebook about teenagers in the Hidden Springs neighborhood ding-dong ditching houses to make videos for a TikTok trend. The post was written to be preventative and was in an effort to stop that trend from growing. For Detective Shannon Garza, a child abuse detective with the Ada County Sheriff's Office, this is yet another way the COVID-19 pandemic changed the world for young people.
Because people were so isolated. I mean, here in the Treasure Valley, like our school shut down in March of that year, and they didn't go back online until fall of that year. So that was a huge change. And because of that, I think our kids and our adults got used to having that kind of communication virtually that they used to have in person. So when we returned from COVID, in the schools especially, we saw things like the Devious Licks Challenge, which were, for example, like taking things, stealing things from the school building.
Garza was a school resource officer before her current role and said she worked closely with students in the post-COVID era to help students adjust to how interpersonal interactions had changed. Challenges like Devious Licks, which challenged students to steal and vandalize on-campus equipment, began springing up, but Garza said that kind of performance crime has not become the norm in Ada County.
From what I've seen, I think that's fair to say. We did have a few spikes in behaviors because of stuff like that, but it wasn't like a long-term sustainable change that landed and stayed. A lot of the, like there was the cinnamon challenge and the Tide Pod thing, right? Like those things kind of waxed and waned. So it's not been something that I've seen be sustained.
In the case of the Hidden Springs ding-dong ditchers, Garza said the sheriff decided to post on Facebook as a preventative measure, seeking to clarify consequences for those that would take part in those kinds of challenges.
Ding-dong ditching is something that's been around. It was around when I was a kid. It was around probably when you were a kid. But because we do see things kind of do that wax and wane, we want to get ahead of them if we can. So kids will put stuff online. They'll get a lot of likes. They'll get a lot of thumbs up on the platforms they put it on. So it's a way for us to hopefully say, hey, like, we know this might seem like a good idea, but in reality, here's the consequences that can happen from that choice. And we really don't want you guys to engage in that because we want to prevent you from having those consequences in the first place.
Though the sheriff says there is no widespread performance crime threat in Ada County, what has become more of a trend in this era of online life, bullying.
When you look at bullying, for example, like I always explain it as bullying is not only what you and I as people might perceive of as bullying, but there's actually a legal definition of bullying in Idaho. We have a bullying code. So bullying is different. So kids in the past might have walked up to you in a hallway or passed you a note or said something, you know, to your face or to your peers. Now a lot of that stuff is actually happening online.
By nature, social media trends require a reactionary approach by law enforcement and can be difficult to monitor. This, Garza says, is one of the not so often understood roles of student resource officers in schools.
Those guys are really like our first line of what's happening, what are the kids talking about. I used to joke with the kids, I'm like, I'm nosy, man. Like my job is to be nosy. So SROs are really helpful for that because they build those connections and kids are generally more willing to share information. They're like, oh, I know you. Like I see you every day. You're part of the fabric of my school.
The sheriff wants to remind everyone as these trends continue to emerge, if they involve or appear to involve a criminal act, don't participate. It's dangerous for everyone involved. In studio, I'm Dakota Castette's DJ reporting.